Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning edition rolls on. A busy show here. No shortage of things happening. No shortage of things happening around the Bison football program, as we detailed yesterday with Grace Zabel's performance at Indianapolis and the NFL Combine. Just keeps surprising everybody, which to our next guest, there's no surprises there. But, of course, last week with the changes with the football team around North Dakota State, Dan Larson was promoted from offensive line coach to offensive coordinator, and he joins us here on this Tuesday morning after the Bison football staff had breakfast this morning. So the most important question is, what is the go-to for you for breakfast? Coaches never get to eat, so I'm dynamite. I need to know this one. What do you have for breakfast?
I got the breakfast burrito
Okay.
with breakfast potatoes.
Oh, there you go.
And if my answers are short, it's because it's sitting behind me right here. I haven't had a chance to eat it yet. So eh, I'm looking forward to it. The offensive staff went in second, and every defensive coach that walked out of there, Coach Gazer took forever to get out from behind the booth. So he must have had a really good breakfast. And but it was awesome getting out and being around some people in the community and friendly faces. Everybody's excited for you now because you haven't had a call play yet when it matters. So but yeah, a good breakfast spot. It was a good start to the day.
I can't imagine Polisic ever sits still to eat. I can't, like, he ever sits like for more than 5 minutes to do. Can you confirm that? Can he actually sit still to eat breakfast?
He can, but he's going to keep talking and having a conversation while we're doing it. So yeah, I've seen him sit down, and we've had a lot of conversations. It just keeps going to football and coming back, and trying to figure out how to better continue to move the program forward. But it's not a quiet sit down, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations on the promotion. Give us the behind the scenes, Dan, of how this works. When you hear that Jake potentially could be leaving, and how interested are you? Is this something that Tim goes to you? Give us the behind the scenes, if you could.
Yeah, I think Tim and I have had obviously had discussions over the course of the last couple of weeks. If this was going to happen, kind of what would the next succession aspect of it look like. And as much as I enjoyed the offensive line part of it, the opportunity to continue to challenge and grow in the profession is something I'm still really excited about doing. And then you continue to find ways to make an impact, hopefully for the program, to continue to help us move forward and build off of what great things Jake did here for us over the course of last year. So I think there was a lot of conversations that were happening. You live in the what if world as a coach a lot. And then certainly when Jake accepted the job, it was full speed ahead, and started communicating on what we wanted the staff to look like.
Was this a no-brainer? I think for a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, he's the offensive line coach. They don't know your pedigree, what you've done in the past. Was this something you were always aiming to get back to be a play caller?
I think maybe over the course of the last couple of years, it started kind of leaning towards it. The challenge of coaching the offensive line and trying to find the right five pieces, and then throughout the course of a game, in a practice week, and then certainly on a game day, being able to try to put the best. Okay, what adjustments do we need to make, and those types of things was fun. And then I love the guys in the room, and so that was probably the hardest part. Was actually one of the things that Tim and I talked about. Can you do this and coach O-line? I think it would have just been a little bit too much. I don't think I would have been able to give myself enough to either the coordinator piece or the O-line piece, which they both demand a lot of time. But the opportunity to move to the tight end room, still be around the line of scrimmage, a lot of really good players and a lot of really young players there with a lot of potential. Just the opportunity itself to get back in that play calling role and move forward a little bit in the profession was something I was certainly, excited for.
You did it at McAllister and Duluth. It was a little bit ago, but what do you take from that, Dan, to get ready for this job?
Well, yeah, the McAllister piece, I was only my 5th year of coaching, and the head coach told me he wouldn't fire me no matter how bad we were. So Tony Jennison has still been the best interview I've ever had. Call what you want. I'm not going to fire you unless you screw up really bad. So, that was one of the best of all time. I think when we took a leap from, McAllister to Duluth and had to maintain the standard and keep trying to push the program forward there, very similar to here. They have the system that they want to run. You put your own spin on it, but it's what are the players that you have? How do you continue to evolve the offense? It's not about, firm believer. It's players. It's not plays. And so I think the biggest thing you take from there is, it was school's got a system. You try to play to the strengths. There's enough football plays out there to find what works, but your players got to be confident in what you're doing, and to be able to do that at both places with some success, at different levels, varying degrees. Something I still take into account. Just you know how to do it. Just we'll figure out the pieces of the puzzle, and then once you do, you just go 100 miles an hour.
You know the level of scrutiny that comes under Bison football. How do you feel you're going to handle the first 3rd and 7 when a pass goes incomplete and everybody's booing and calling for your job? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, no different than when you give up a sack, you're not running the ball, and someone's yelling at you to the old line to block better. I mean, it's kind of have to have water off the duck's back.
Mm.
I think the biggest thing is our preparation here is always just so like we just walk into every play call, and I know Jake and Tyler were both the same way, and really fortunate that I got to watch both of them go through this and sit kind of next to them while they're doing it. But you're just so confident in every play call that you're calling here because of the guys' preparation, because of how you practice and double rep and all that. That honestly, like you're just kind of at times, right? Like you have full confidence. Like, how did that play not work?
Mm.
So, it doesn't. I'm not concerned about the scrutiny that comes with it. You coach at NDSU. It doesn't matter what position you coach. I mean, you're going to come under scrutiny. I'm more excited about the opportunity to get in there and have an impact and make some of those calls with a lot of confidence.
You're walking in, as you well know, with a new starting quarterback and 2 new tackles. If there wasn't a harder job to maybe accept, it might be this one. Describe that challenge, knowing full well what you're getting yourself into for 2025.
Yeah, we'll find what works best for this offense. We'll find what works best for this collection of players. The best thing that we did over the course of the last 2 years is we've really grown a lot, I think, in terms of how we can communicate and give our offensive line a little bit more help and protection if we need it. Didn't have to do it a whole lot this year. We had 2 really good tackles. So there'll be some things that we'll have to work through in the spring. I think the biggest thing with our offense is what does Cole Payton and Nate Hayes and Trey Drake and Xander, like what did they do really well? And then we want to continue to expand upon those. We didn't run the ball as much or as well as what we had in the past, but this offense was built for take advantage of Cam Miller, take advantage of our wide receivers and our tight ends, our running backs out of the backfield. And I give a lot of credit to Jake. He came in and saw the offense a little bit differently than how Tyler did. There's still a lot of ways that NDSU can go and attack people,
Yeah.
and I think that's the fun part about this in the spring is we're going to see a lot of growth and development from some young players that we're really excited about. But we're going to find how those pieces fit for us and how we best take advantage of all the talent we do have because we do have a lot of it.
The fact that Bryce Lance is back is not necessarily a bad thing either, right?
Nope,
Dude,
I'm smart enough to know who our good players are. So
the exciting and the fact that you have a window in an offensive line and know exactly what the strengths are that you've worked with, how much can you use that for, okay, this guy is at this pace and we know that I can trust him to do that. How much does that help now with your new job?
well, I think it does a lot, and I think it also it helps from a standpoint of okay, are we putting too much on those
Yeah.
guys up front? We want their confidence to continue to build as well too. And that doesn't mean that we can only do, A, B, and C. I think we can keep pushing the envelope on these guys, but certainly know like, hey, we're probably biting off a little bit more than we can chew right now with this group. Or they're making a lot of strides. If this continues, let's add another layer to this part of it. So I do think that helps out a lot. And we're losing so Stuffle, in the tight end room as well too. We got to continue to
Yeah.
replace him. It's going to be a lot of moving forward on the line of scrimmage, but I'm excited. We got a lot of talent there. We got a lot of young players that watched a lot of really good veteran players over the past couple of years. They're going to understand how to prepare and they're going to be ready to go. But the background on the line of scrimmage, I do think helps out.
Fargo is the only spot I can ever think of that I get asked more about offensive line, like who's coming up than quarterback or wide receiver. So we got to see a little bit of Jack Lewinsky. Obviously, Griffin Empey was really, really good. How Bo Johnson got a little bit. Give us some of the younger guys you saw up close that they're going to have primetime spots or a chance to earn primetime spots in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, we're expecting a lot of, a Bo and Jack, to continue to push their way through. Nate Schneckelhoff has really flashed at times, especially in practice, and he's had a few game reps where it's looked good. Josh Megan and Devin Lockerbie are kind of they're upperclassmen. We don't have seniors, so those two guys, they're just they got to have that kind of that next step. And Coach Chimura will do a great job of getting those guys ready to go. I'm excited for that group as a whole. I really think there's a lot of talent there and there's a lot of ability. And then, we were really excited about the recruiting class we brought
Yeah.
in 2 years ago with, or last year with Nate Tosted and Coy and that group. Austin Schultz is coming back from an injury. Austin's had flashes where he's been really athletic, and it's just about whether or not we can keep him healthy and put it all together. So there's going to be, I mean, we got 13 guys. We're going to double rep. There will be plenty of opportunities for us to watch and evaluate. But I could definitely see us. There's going to be some practices where we might have some redshirt freshmen that are mixing in there and,
Yeah.
and having to protect. And they got to understand the red jerseys are really important in our offense, and they got to bust their butts to keep them clean.
Dan, now your starting quarterback is left-handed, which means the blind side now is the right tackle spot. How much does that change where everyone's so used to the left tackle being the guy, now the right tackle will be the guy?
Yeah, Cole and I were having a conversation yesterday, and I was trying to, as best as I can, emulate a quarterback. So I'm trying to do it, and then all of a sudden I realized I had to do it as a lefty, and that looked even worse. Um, so you do have to wrap your brain around it a little bit. I do think it actually opens up our offense a little bit more, because a lot of times if we were on the right side of the field, we never had out of the pocket stuff going to the left. So
Right.
now you got to be able to do a little bit of both of it. But yeah, I think the right tackle aspect of it is a little bit different. Pass protection is such a fine art, and it's, but all of a sudden now the right tackle's got to know, like, this guy's going to see him last, he's going to feel him last, so your protection and your time clock's got to, it's our piece of string theory. Piece of string is however long it needs to be, and pass protection's the same way. And you got to have a little bit more of that when you're on the backside of a QB.
Last thing before I let you go is the talk of the NFL draft over the last week is surrounded around your guy, former left tackle All-American and Gray Zabel. I know you're not surprised to see the level of success, but he goes and he's the Senior Bowl practice player of the week. Then he goes and kills it at the Combine. I guess what has maybe stood out to you to see now he's a potential first-round draft pick next month?
I don't know if I'm surprised by any of his movement stuff. I'm not really surprised about his competitiveness, because he's as competitive as guys you'll have, and that's why our room was really good,
Yeah.
whether he was a backup or he was a starter. And you know, I I, I think it's just more of an indication of we're recruiting the right types of kids here. We try to find the competitive guys, and they go out, and if they get an opportunity to perform, it's almost like they chomp at the bit a little bit to go prove somebody wrong. He had the draft interview where he said where he told me he had to sit down with the Dallas Cowboys. And Coach Riley's down there, and they asked about his recruiting process, and he said, "Well, I had one Big Ten coach tell me I wasn't ever going to be big enough, and I had another Big 12 coach that told me I wasn't ever going to be big enough, and to play at the Division 1 level." And he goes, "One of them is my head coach this past year, and the other one's sitting in this room right now in this interview process." And he said he had a good laugh over it. So
That's awesome.
he's always had to probably prove some people wrong that
Yeah.
probably just thought he's this level only. He just keeps attacking it, and I'm not surprised by it by any stretch of the imagination. I wish more teams would give him an opportunity to play tackle, because I think he could do it
Yeah.
out there as well too. But I know wherever somebody takes him and puts him, he's going to go and compete, and he'll be in the league for as long as he wants to be because of that.
You saw him snap the ball. We never did. How good of a center could he have been if you decided if that's the spot you wanted to put him at?
He could have. I mean, he and Jalen were some of the two best guys I've ever saw pull and run. I mean,
Yeah.
they were right neck and neck. He could have done it for sure.
Yeah.
I know he definitely would have liked to play more center, because he likes telling people and being the smartest guy out on the field. So there have been a couple moments at left tackle where I had to politely ask him to stop talking and pointing out so much, because we needed some other guys to be able to do that.
To be able to do it.
Yeah, or that's not your job, so no, he could do it, and there wasn't any stretch. And honestly, probably over the course of the last 3 years, he's probably been our second or emergency center if we need him to be, and he would have jumped in and done an awesome job.
It's great to see you, Buck. Congratulations on the promotion. Super excited for you and the family, and look forward to seeing you in person here. We're getting going in a couple weeks.
It'll be great. Yeah, we're certainly excited. So appreciate it, Dom. Thank you.
Good to see you, bud. Dan Larson,
Thanks, you
NDSU's
too.
new offensive coordinator, joining us here for a few minutes after being promoted with Jake Landry's departure to Iowa State. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll set you up for a great Sports Tuesday and wrap things up. Hot Mike. Wraps up after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KNBN, and Inforum.com after this.